Welcome to Hawks in the Booth. I'm Rachel, and I'm here with my mom,
I'm Kara.
and we are doing a little podcast here. We are not professionals in any way, or football players, or analysts. So, just two Hawkeye fans trying to spread our fandom and talk about Hawkeye sports. Mom, do you have anything else to add about what
We
we're
want to
doing?
be a positive podcast.
Mhm.
So if it's not going well, we won't have a podcast.
Yes, we will skip the bad days. No need to make a podcast about losses. We're not here for that.
We're here to celebrate the wins.
Yes, definitely here to celebrate the wins. So speaking of wins, Hawks won today against Utah State, 24-14. Right?
Yes.
We attended the game, as we do all games. So we're driving back to Des Moines from here. So if the audio is bad, that sucks. We are in the car. What did you think of the game today, Mom?
I thought it was hot.
Yes, it was hot outside, absolutely. It's like 90 degrees. What did you think of the performance?
I am very glad we won,
Yes.
and I want to stay positive.
Well, all right, well, let's start with what most people are probably going to talk about for this game. What did you think of Cade McNamara?
I thought he was a huge upgrade.
Yes, I agree. If Spencer Petras was out on the field, no offense to Spencer, I mean, great guy. But if he was out on the field, I do not know if Iowa would have won this game. You
I
agree?
hope he can stay healthy.
Yeah, he was taking some hits. He looked like he was in pain for part of it. Kind of messing with his knee a lot or his leg. I don't know. So we'll see. I did hear one person during the game, I think it was like the third quarter. So McNamara had already scored 2 touchdowns for us, 2 passing touchdowns. And in the third quarter, McNamara had tried to run and then just kind of threw it away. But there was an opening on the left side, and he couldn't capitalize on that. And a fan yelled, "I thought you were supposed to be mobile." And I just feel like I didn't love that comment. I mean, I know passionate fans, like, we're going to say things, but hearing somebody essentially, like, shit on this QB who has given us more than we've seen in a game opener for so long, or in a season opening game, and he had already scored 2 touchdowns, and we're going to be upset that he can't run super fast.
In that moment, I was disappointed that he didn't, but when you think back on it, we were ahead.
Mm-hmm.
It was later in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Why would he need to test that or try that in that moment? Save that for when the game's on the line.
Right, especially if we had already talked about being concerned about injury with him.
Right.
So I don't really want to see him running out of the pocket and, like, trying to gain another 6 yards off a run or something, because it feels risky for the first game of the season.
Right.
Yeah. So overall, I thought McNamara did really well. I'm very happy to have him on the team. What did you think about some of the other offensive transfers?
I really liked right at the very start that Seth Anderson
Yeah.
made a touchdown
First
grab,
touchdown.
and it was like, oh gosh, here we go.
Yes, it definitely had a different vibe than years past. It felt like we had some pieces that we haven't had before in Seth Anderson and Eric Hall. It was all transfers who scored our first 2 touchdowns.
Yes.
So that was great to see. I was glad to see them get reps and get a chance to show what they could do. Any other offensive thoughts?
I thought the offensive line in pass protection was maybe a little better than they've been. I felt like Cade McNamara had more time to throw than maybe Spencer Petras did last year.
I would agree with that, and I think McNamara just was better at making decisions with the time he had.
Yes.
But yeah, I think pass protection was slightly better. I think run protection though was I don't know if it was our line or like the play calling, but the runs were pretty rough this
Yes.
game. Do you think that's play calling or do you think that's the
I
line?
don't know. But boy, that one running back, who was it? Number 12. He was super fast.
Can't be number 12. That's Kate's number.
Okay.
I think 21 maybe?
Maybe it was 21.
That transfer from that JUCO school. Can't remember his name. He was quick though.
He was, when he would run across the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely good.
Now, I think twice it worked, and then one time they stuffed it.
Yeah. Yes. I think Brian was pretty adventurous with his play calling to start the game. A lot of passes that I have not seen him call before. Going for it on fourth down, not only once, but he went for it a second time. They didn't get it the second time.
Right.
But seeing that kind of adventurous play calling, it really makes me wonder if it's because of his 25-point average per game rule now. Like he has to hit that.
I don't know what to think of that, because obviously I would have wanted us to come out and be like 55-0.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't want, if we're comfortably ahead.
You don't want him taking risks.
Right.
To meet his own personal quota that he has to for this.
Right.
And I don't know if he would, because even today they only scored 24 points, and we saw a lot of run plays near the end, which is a typical, like, you want to run the clock, that kind of thing. So I feel like I want to give Brian the benefit of the doubt, and I think that he would choose what's best for the team overall versus personal needing to hit certain quotas.
Right. I will say there were, of course I want to be positive, but there were a couple times, like it was 3rd and long, and we did a pass for 3 yards. It's like,
yeah,
I don't like that.
I saw much less of that though this game. Like there
That's
were
true.
a lot of deep passes on third downs that,
Yes,
that
there
made
were.
it to like the tight ends and stuff like that. I know there was one to Ragaini, right? There was one to I think Luke Lachey.
Yes.
So better play calling, I would say. I feel slightly more optimistic about it.
I feel good about our running backs. I wouldn't say, I'm looking at their stats. None of their stats are great, but I don't know I don't know if it's the running back or the offensive line.
Right.
That's the
right.
But I saw some wiggle with the running backs. I mean, there were sometimes they had some longer runs, and that was encouraging.
Yeah, definitely. I think they showed a lot of try on the plays. I feel like they tried to make moves that maybe in years past I've seen running backs just kind of do exactly what the play is, and if they get touched, then it's over. Versus I saw them making efforts to do spins and jukes and, those kinds of things. So that was encouraging to see. I would be interested to know how good Utah State's defense is. I don't know anything about them besides what we just witnessed.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to stack up like how much of it is that Iowa wasn't good versus how much of it is that Utah State had a good defense or a good offense, because our defense struggled a little bit against them as well.
Yeah, I felt like that too. Because at first it seemed like, oh my gosh, they can't do anything. The offense, Utah's offense. Our defense was amazing, and then
it kind of fell apart.
It kind of fell apart.
They figured Iowa out a little bit.
Right. They kind of calmed down, and they do that different kind of, what do they call it? Run pass pro or something? Where they pretend to hand it off, and they're so...
Oh, yes. Sure.
and we didn't handle that very well. They got some
they
good
had
runs
a lot
on
of
that.
runs up the gut, and they had a lot
Yes.
of screen passes for runs for big gains that were.
But I want to say Jay Higgins,
Oh yeah,
linebacker, had 16 tackles.
I thought it was 15, but yeah, a lot.
Well, I'm looking at ESPN stats. He had
Okay.
16.
16, yes, and I think like 11 of those were solo or something like that.
12 were solo, is
Oh,
what
wow.
this is saying. So that's quite a bit.
Yes, he really, and we saw him last year. I can't remember which game it was, but we were winning, so our secondary group of defense went in, and it was just his name
Over and over,
every single play. They
Yeah.
called his name as the person who got the tackle. So like we've heard of him. We knew he would be good. It's nice to see that as a starter he can perform at that level too.
I want to say that Deshaun Lee, even though he didn't get the tackle sometimes, he was in the right place at the right time, it seemed like all the time.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. It was good to see, we call it a swarm of Hawkeye, like them all going to the ball and stopping it. It felt like there were a lot of team tackles, which was nice to see.
Yes. And that Deshaun Lee had that interception that was then nullified because of our offside. So that was
so many almost interceptions.
Yes.
Today. Gosh, I think there were like 4 potential interceptions that could have happened, and it just didn't. Whether it was a flag that got thrown, or because offsides, or they're like, they had it in their hands and they dropped it accidentally. I mean, that happened like 4 times, I think, today.
Yes.
Tough to see. But better than them getting a completion, right?
Right.
As far as the defense goes, what did you think? How do you think Iowa did with so many, like quite a few people out due to like injury or the gambling stuff? How do you think they did with that adjustment? And like Xavier Wampa having to go out.
And he didn't come back in, did he?
No, he did not.
I don't know anything about that injury. I hope it was just like a cramp or something.
It looked like a cramp just because he walked himself off and that, but hard to say,
Well, I see that the defense gave up 116 yards rushing and 213 yards passing.
Yes. How many total yards?
So that would be like 329 total yards.
It's a lot if we're comparing it to the defense of last year, right?
That is a lot. So I don't like that.
Granted, I know this is, what is this, like an ACC offense or something? Like it's very offense focused kind of team, I think. But still, to see that in the first game, I mean, it's a little concerning. I was hoping the defense would be, as good as last year.
Yeah, I really wanted just a curb stomping by the defense. But on the positive side, there are things to work on.
Yes.
And to really focus on getting better at.
Yep.
We always play better when we have a chip on our shoulder or we feel slighted.
Yeah.
And so I'm very happy with the win, and that there are things to focus on and for the coaches to get on them about, for them to take it seriously for this next game.
So you think going into their next game against Iowa State, this was a good game to have?
Well, we won, so I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, you're right.
They had a different kind of offense that we don't see in the Big Ten, so
yeah,
that was a good test.
Don't see that.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about our running game defense, just because in the Big Ten you see a lot of runs, a lot of running offense, and it seemed like we struggled at times with that. So I wonder, how we'll hold up against, a really good offensive line and a really good running back, which I'm sure we will face in the Big Ten,
Right. Yeah, because I do feel a lot of our momentum today beyond the first quarter was due to mistakes that the other team made.
Yes,
And
oh
that's
my gosh.
concerning.
Without those penalties, I don't know. We
They
might have
had-
been looking at a very
yeah.
different score.
They had, the other team had several
They had a lot
penalties.
of
They
penalties.
gave us a first down
And
or
key
nullified what their game.
Yeah, in very key moments to the game. You know, it was like third down and we didn't get it, but they had a penalty many times.
Yes.
So,
and I don't like that.
yeah.
We didn't have a lot of penalties. We had some false starts, but
Yeah. And you know you're going to get that the first week.
right.
Growing pains, right?
Let's talk about Tory Taylor, who is amazing, and it was difficult out there for him today.
Yeah.
I've never seen it so difficult for him. I don't know what's going on with that, but he still came through like a boss.
Yes. I was very nervous I've never felt nervous before when he's punting. I've always just felt excited and like ready to see how far he's going to get it.
Exactly.
But this time around I felt nervous thinking, well, the first one, I mean, they blocked it. He still got it pretty far for a blocked punt. I mean, that was amazing. And then I think there was a low snap for the second one, and so it
was a bad snap.
And they got very close every time to almost blocking it again. So
yes.
Just kind of nervous every single time that he was punting, which is not a normal feeling for us.
He was a boss, though. He was great.
Yes, of course. I mean, he's our star player.
I would also say our place kicker was on point. He was great. Never once thought, oh gosh, he's not going to make that.
Drew Stevens?
Yes.
Yes.
I was very happy with his performance.
And he did very well with the kickoffs as well.
Yes.
I don't know if
I think they all went
any
into
of them.
the end zone.
Yeah.
There wasn't a touchback on any, or there wasn't a return on any of them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, which is what we want to see.
Exactly.
So,
and I think there was wasn't there one field goal where they got kind of close to blocking it or something, the other team, and he still made it? I don't know, maybe I'm thinking something else.
We only had one field goal. Was that really close?
No, we had two.
Oh, we did? Well, I might have missed the other one. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure we had two. Yeah.
You have the stats in front of you. I don't.
I do have the stats. Let me just see.
Yes.
Oh, no, he was only 1 for 1.
Yep. He did kick it twice. Remember they had
that's right. Okay.
They had the penalty on them, so we got to keep going.
Yes.
And then we ended up kicking a field goal that drive anyway. So
Tory Taylor's average was 48.7. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
3 were downed inside the 20. That's good. And his longest was 53.
Yeah.
That's all good stuff.
Yeah, he did very well. And it's wild to think that we thought he had an okay day for him.
Right.
But for any other punter, I'm sure that would be a phenomenal day, especially with a blocked punt.
Yeah, and the bad snap.
Yeah.
For him to get that kind of yardage on his punts.
Yeah.
The very first kickoff return was that our running back Caleb Johnson.
Yeah. Oh, that was
beautiful.
Electric play to start on. It really felt in Kinnick. It felt like just kind of a magic in the air a little bit after that, and then the Cade McNamara pass for a touchdown, and it was awesome to see.
We didn't talk about Xavier Wampa's interception. That was really pretty.
Yes. I watched him on that play, and you could see him. He purposefully moved away.
Kind of baited him.
Yeah, he baited him. He moved away from the play for a minute, watching it unfold the whole time, and you could see that he knew exactly where it was going, and he was intentionally moving away from it a little bit, and then broke on the ball once it went. I mean,
that was beautiful.
Yeah, that was really a smart play on his part, and athletic play too. I mean,
yes,
just kind of the whole package on that one.
I don't feel like we only had 1 sack back to defense, but I felt like they were close.
They pressured the QB a lot, but couldn't capitalize, which is too bad. hopefully that's different in the coming games.
Overall, I'm very happy with the win.
Yes. And that is why we are podcasting right
Yes.
now, because we're happy and we're positive about it. It was very hot and I am very tired right now, but overall, good win. Happy to be there. Good day to be a Hawkeye, you know.
Great day to be a Hawkeye.
That's right. Any final thoughts or things you want to talk about?
No.
Okay.
How about you?
I don't think so. I do think last time I checked, Iowa State is winning by like 30 against UNI. So they might be a little better than we thought they were going to be this year, and it leads to little anxiety with that upcoming game, little hesitation.
The only thing I would say about that is, and this goes for Iowa and Iowa State, they are never good when they're overconfident.
Yeah, so let's hope that they crush it this week. Iowa State just blows them out of the water, and then when they play Iowa, they're overconfident and
yes, that they have too much confidence.
Yes,
and we know that we've got things we got to work on.
Yes, that's the hope. We'll see what happens. You'll potentially hear from us again next week. I mean, who knows? No promises. Also, this is a podcast this is a hobby. So please no negative criticism because we don't care enough to make changes. So thank you so much. And go Hawks.
Love you, fellow Hawkeye fans.